with that, I would like to welcome my dear friend and member of parliament from Ukraine, Oleksiy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luke. Uh, it's a big honor for me to take part in the conference. First of all, I would like to thank Hudson Institute at Jamestown Foundation and personally Luke Coffey for this very important event and very, I think, timely event and very important discussion, because I think that the next years will go under the sign of what will happen with the Russian Federation, how this dissolution will happen, what will be the consequences for the world. And that's why it's better to start to speak about it, to discuss it, to prepare for it, than to try to hide away from the challenges which will also appear. No questions about this. The Russian Empire is a great challenge to the world security, and the war in Ukraine shows it absolutely clearly. But the dissolution of Russian Empire, called today Russian Federation, but it's absolutely the same empire, Russian Empire, then Soviet Union, then Russian Federation. So dissolution of this empire will also cause a number of challenges for the world, and we should be prepared for them. And it's better to start to speak about this today. I would like to add a little, absolutely like Luke said, he's watching very carefully about what's going on in Europe, in Eurasia, and thanks for him and the Hudson Institute for this. But I want to add that this bill, which I co-sponsored in Ukrainian parliament and was initiator of, about recognition of independence of Chechnya Ichkeria, finally the decision of Ukrainian parliament was made in October about recognition of Ichkeria as occupied territory by Russia and recognition of genocide committed by Russians against Chechen people in 1990s and after. So that's already happened. Also, I sponsored the bill about recognition of genocide of Cherkessian people, and that is also important issue because that's happened in 19th century, but probably that was the beginning of ethnic cleansings and genocides in this part of the world. So unfortunately, Russia continues to do this. Today, they are committing genocide against Ukrainians on occupied territories. And it shows us one thing, and I think we need to say it absolutely loudly, that, Russia is the last colonial empire in Europe. And the way these empires live, it's very clear. It's by using people as a fuel. These empires, they're not interested in developing, empires like this, they're not interested in developing the territory. They're not interested in the quality of life in their countries, because like near 10% of Russian people today are deprived from basics, from sanitation. They don't have toilets in their houses. They go outside. And it's in 21st century, one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Maybe the wealthiest from the point of view of resources, and the biggest country. So this empire lives using people as a fuel. And we can see it. We don't need to go far away in some 19th century, but we can see it just during last 20 years. When Russia finally suppressed Chechnya, just committed genocide against Chechen people, they killed 1 from 5 Chechens. Just imagine this. So 200,000 people from 1 million population of Chechen Republic at that moment. When they finally suppressed it in 2000, unborn in 2000 Chechen boys now are fighting in Ukraine against Ukraine and killing Ukrainians and dying themselves on Ukrainian soil. In 2008, Russia occupied, there was a war against Georgia. And now young men from Abkhazia and South Ossetia, which is absolutely part of Georgia, but for the moment occupied by Russia, now they're fighting against Ukraine on Ukrainian soil. In 2014, Russia occupied Crimea and part of Ukrainian Donbass. And now they're taking men from these territories to fight against their compatriots, Ukrainians, and to die in their own country. So that's how these empires work. And that's why Putin attacked Ukraine. He can't stop because he needs Ukrainian men to go ahead. to attack Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, to finish with Georgia, to attack Moldova. Just watch what's going on now in Moldova. It's right now. Today, the airspace in Moldova was closed for part of the day because of some drones there, probably Russian drones there. There is information said by President of Moldova that Russia is planning the assault on Moldovan authorities and will try to prepare some kind of a rebel or uprising there with an aim to change the regime for some kind of Russian puppet regime in Moldova. That's happening right now. Just I'm not coming somewhere else. So that's why Putin attacked Ukraine, to take Ukrainian men to go ahead. That's why these empires, they are evil. But they're not evil, and Russian Empire is evil. Empire of evil, like was said by great President Reagan. But it is not just evil, like Secretary Kissinger said in his article in Spectator, where he said, yeah, Russia is evil, but Russia is like eternal evil. It's part of world's equilibrium. And I don't agree with this completely. Russia is evil, and this evil should be finished. That's what we should say, and we can't tolerate this evil anymore, because this evil cannot be contained in its boundaries and in its borders. So they're coming out and they're attacking the free world, and that's how they will continue to do. So we need to finish with this evil. And who said that this empire should be forever? Like, again, it's the last colonial empire in Europe. Look, Austro-Hungarian Empire dissolved. Nothing happened. The sky is on that place. German Empire, that is a great example. It dissolved. And who benefited more than Germans from the fact that German Empire does not exist anymore? If Germany would not go through denazification after the Second World War, Germans again would be today cannon fodder for some new tyranny. But they're not. They live in prosperous, wonderful country, one of the leaders of the world, because they came through denazification, they finished with German Empire, and they built wonderful state with democracy, rule of law, human rights, and that they benefit from this the most. And from dissolution of Russian Empire, who will benefit the most? It's Russian people, I'm sure about this. But also other nations which are suppressed today. Why Chechen people can't live independently? Why people in Dagestan can't live independently? I just will give you one number. Population of Estonia is 1.3 million people. Population of Dagestan is 3 million people. Estonia is wonderful state, absolutely successful. Why Dagestan can't be like this, or any other country or nations which are today suppressed by Russian Federation? And from all of this, we can take some kind of result that this empire should be finished. And it happened that Ukraine today is on the front line. It's quite historical thing because, you know, this empire tried to tell that their roots are in Kiev, Rus, in Kiev. And it's interesting and very symbolic that in Kiev, this empire will be finished. I think it's really a beautiful joke of history, but that's what will happen. I absolutely believe in this. I hope that this war is the last colonial war of Russian Empire, and the role of Ukraine is not just to kick off Russia from our territory, to build the fence between us and these people. No, but to make everything to dissolve this empire, not by coming militarily, not by taking militarily Moscow. No, we don't want to sacrifice any Ukrainian for this, but by helping the suppressed nations of North Caucasus, other nations of Asian part of Russia to be free. That's why it was so important that Ukrainian Rada made this decision, which we are saying about Ichkeria. I will continue to push this, and I have an honor to be head of caucus in Ukrainian parliament for Free Caucasus. Also, don't forget about Belarus, which is today occupied by Russian Empire. This big nation deserves all the right to be a member of free world. It's 10 million population nation, and it is today occupied. Again, I'm head of caucus for Democratic Belarus in Ukrainian parliament because I really believe that is part of our work. Maybe we don't know how this war will finish. Maybe Russia will be defeated on the battlefield, but maybe Russia will first dissolve and then will go out from Ukraine. And that is absolutely possible, like it happened 100 years ago when Russian Empire collapsed. Just to remind you, it was not, military, the First World War was one of the reasons, but not the only reason for this. Internal things were probably more important. 30 years ago, Soviet Union collapsed. Again, the war in Afghanistan finished in 1989. That was one of these lost colonial war in Afghanistan, was one of the reasons to collapse of Soviet Union, but not the only. And maybe the military problems in Ukraine will be one of the reasons, but there are other reasons which will cause the dissolution of Russian Empire. That's what I believe in. And we should be prepared for this because, there will be challenges. Who will control mass destruction weaponry? What will happen in North Caucasus? What will happen in Siberia? Maybe China will try to use this opportunity to fill the gap and this vacuum which will be created on the huge territories, and so on and so on. So there are a lot of questions, but let's start to prepare for them. And one of issues which I am sure that you will have that we will have today, a great discussion during this conference. But one thing I want to tell you, it's about nuclear weaponry. And it sounds like this. We should say, and it should be our objective, Russia also should be denuclearized. Not only de-imperialized, but also denuclearized. Because Russia does not deserve any more right to have nuclear weaponry. Because the whole idea of nuclear weaponry club was that in this club, countries who are inside, they should never ever use it even for blackmailing. And I am not even telling about to use them, but even as a blackmailing, as a threat, they can't do this. And Russia is doing it constantly, you know this. And that means that Russia should be denuclearized. That's part of policy which should be absolutely fulfilled. It's not an easy task. I'm not saying that it's easy task. That's why such discussions are very important. Once again, we are ready in Ukraine for our new role in the world, to be one of the leaders of the free world, and we're ready for this. This is our pragmatism, to fight for freedom, because from freedom we benefit all, economically, politically, like human beings. And also we are ready to be on the spearhead of the process of dissolution of Russian Empire. One of our famous literature heroes, Taras Bulba, said, "I fathered you and I shall kill you." That's something about Russian Empire and Ukraine. We have not fathered it, but they saying that they're coming from us, but we shall finish them. Absolutely, because in other case, we will have still huge challenges for the security of the whole planet. Thank you very much. Today is St. Valentine's Day. I just want to congratulate everybody with this. And I can tell you that probably new slogan for next year's in geopolitics is "Love is to dissolve Russian Empire together." So thank you very much. And I will be absolutely happy to take your questions if you have.
Thanks, Oleksiy. And I know it's 4:30 p.m. in Ukraine, so we didn't entirely ruin your Valentine's Day plans with your wife, I hope, with your participation here today. We do have a few minutes for questions from the audience, if anyone would like to pose a question. But while we wait, we do have a microphone we could pass around. But I do have a quick question, Oleksiy. Can you tell us about your shirt?
I also chair the caucus Kuban in Ukrainian parliament. And Kuban is a very interesting part of, today it's a part of Russia, but in the beginning of 20th century, most population of Kuban, it's on the Black Sea, it's between Crimea and Georgia, we can say like, to make it easier like this. So they were this territory was mostly Ukrainian speaking. And even today, many people in Kuban speak in kind of Ukrainian language, but kind of specific one, maybe some mixture of Ukrainian and Russian. Their national songs which they're singing, that is, they call it Kubansky Kazachi songs. They are absolutely Ukrainian. Their traditions are very Ukrainian because this territory was colonized in 18th and 19th century, mostly by Ukrainians. And when the Russian Empire collapsed 100 years ago, in Kuban, people, they wanted to join Ukraine after the dissolution of Russian Empire. But then they were suppressed, then Ukraine was again reconquered by Russia, and then the huge Russification of this region happened. But still many people there feel their roots, and that's why we have these our caucus Kuban, and you see it, UA. I think it's not absolutely accidentally that we have in this word Kuban, this UA, and it says us something maybe about future. Who knows?
Right, great. Well, thanks for that. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yeah, yes, sir. If you could please identify yourself and any relevant affiliation, that would be great. So, Oleksiy, we have one question coming your way.
Good morning or good afternoon to you. Greg Melcher, Center for the Study of New Generation Warfare. Not trying to push anything in terms of operational security, but there's a lot of reports that the major Russian offensive has begun as of now in the last day or two. I wonder if you could comment, I assume you're in Ukraine, if you can comment on what you're seeing or hearing at this point. Is that really true? Do you feel that they're moving forward at this point, or any comments you could make that you feel comfortable? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm now in Ukraine. I'm in Odessa, in my native city. And just several days ago, I was in Donbass, near Avdiivka, Pesky, near Donetsk airport, very close to Donetsk itself, with our troops. So I saw everything by my own eyes. Yeah, I can tell you that Russian offensive has started, and not just by several days, but probably during last weeks. I don't know. It's quite hard for me to predict how it will continue. But for the moment, they choose a number of points like Bakhmut, Ugledar, Avdiivka, Mariinka, Liman, Kremenaya. These are parts of the front line in Donbass where they are just very active today. They try to make offensive. They are sending people wave by wave. It looks absolutely horrific. They don't count people at all. Just they don't count them. The fields are just full of Russian bodies, or corpses of Russian officers and soldiers. They are dying in thousands, but they continue to go ahead. Also, this Wagner group from convicted people, but also regular army. And they have some very tactical and small successes, mostly around Bakhmut. So the situation near this town is very, very difficult. But I want to remind you that Bakhmut, before start of this invasion, was a town of 70,000 population, 70,000, 70. And Russian army is continuing the attack on Bakhmut from July. So they started this attack in July. Today is February. So if this so-called second largest and strongest army in the world just spending more than 7 months to take the town, which was 70,000 population, and now it's deserted, definitely. So it shows you real capability of Russia to have like a big successes. I don't believe that they will have big successes, but they can have some successes, and definitely we are paying to stop them with also with a high price. We also have big losses, definitely not compared even to Russian losses. That's even not comparable. But for us, we count people, and our best people are on the front line now. And definitely for us, it's very painful. That's why we ask the world to make the weaponry supply quicker and really stronger. Because you know what one thing is, if we will receive some weaponry in the end of year, next year, the question is who will operate it? And that is very important question. And today we have professional, motivated people on the front line. They just need weaponry to finish their job. And long-range missiles, fighter jets, armor in normal quantities, in hundreds. Because when I hear, yeah, I have all respect and we are thankful for all support we are receiving. But when I hear about, like Canada said, that we are providing Ukraine with 4 Leopards, 4, it's better than 0, definitely. But it's nothing which can change really the situation on the battlefield. So we need to, I hope that the tradition to supply weaponry, to deliver weaponry too slow and too late will be finished. We will stop to chasing after Putin. The free world will make step ahead, will give us weaponry what we need today in full quantities. And then with this, we will finish the war successfully and quite quickly.